We're back. It's a final topic for discussion right here on The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Well, the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, IPMAN, yesterday advised the federal government of Nigeria to swiftly take possession of trucks of seized crude oil, which is stolen, are suspected to have been stolen from the south geopolitical zone in the country. Asika Melvin Ajuluchuku, who doubles as the National Task Force Chairman on Anti-Pipeline Vandalism and Petroleum Product Adulteration, hinted at the attempt by high-ranking individuals to unlawfully relocate these goods. Now, he noted that the seizure followed a successful operation by security operatives attached to the task force. He feared that unless prompt action is taken, the evidence would either be destroyed or hidden to shield the perpetrators from prosecution and punishment. Now, last month, it was announced that Nigeria's federal government had inaugurated a committee to investigate crude oil theft in the country. This was disclosed to journalists by the Minister of Interior. He disclosed this while briefing journalists after the National Security Council meeting at the Presidential Villa in Abuja. According to Rauf Aregbesola, Minister of Interior, the council directed the Office of the National Security Advisor in conjunction with the Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation to set up a high-powered investigation committee to unravel perpetrators behind the scene. Joining us to discuss IPMAN's call for the federal government to do the needful to prevent any destruction of evidence, we have an energy consultant joining us from Abuja, Nigeria's capital, Olabode Sowunmi. Good morning to you, Mr. Sowunmi. Thank you very much for your time.
Good morning, and thanks for having me. It's indeed a pleasure to be here with you.
All right. What are your thoughts on this I would say allegation by IPMAN? You know, some highly placed persons are trying to take possession of the intercepted stolen crude.
Well, first of all, I do not think that the challenge is really with the stolen crude per se, but about the process, the framework that leads to theft. So it's like this way. You have a hose for water, the hose that you use to wash the car for water. The problem is not the water that may be coming out from the hose, but the pipe itself and the source of water to the pipe. So some crude has been stolen. I mean, they've been stolen for decades, obviously, from the revelations. So it's not the stolen one that is the issue, but the process that leads to theft. So I think we need to attack the leprosy rather than just looking at the ringworm. So the real issue is the framework, the system in place for the theft of crude. And of course, it should be checked because this doesn't need a call to the federal government for that. That means everybody that is in charge of law enforcement is culpable. Because why are they there in the first place? They are there to protect the territorial integrity of the nation. They are there to ensure there's law and order in the country. So when there's breakage of law and order, they are responsible. It's as simple as that. So everybody who is responsible in one way ought to pull up their socks and do the work for which they're employed to do.
All right. Are you confident that anything will come out of the investigations? Because like we said earlier, the federal government had set up a committee to investigate crude oil theft in the country. They call this a high-powered investigation committee. Is it that those behind the theft are unknown because they want to unravel the perpetrators?
Well, it's not too difficult to know who the perpetrators are. Not even for those who are outside the industry. I mean, there's Freedom of Information Act, so even the media can demand some information from them. There's something that is called the operator notes. So every joint venture, every production sharing contract has an operator that operates it. And they provide notes by law or by the agreement that they have to the other members of the operation, which in this case will include NNPC. In those operator notes, to the best of my understanding, there are insinuations or even direct mention of interventions, illegal interceptions into their operations. So it is not like it's a secret like that. As per the committee that is set up by the government, most of the time the committees do their work. However, the committee can only do what they have been asked to do, which is unravel what is there. It is now the responsibility of those who are giving that report to do something with it. I think there are a lot of things we can do beyond what the committee is doing. And even we, the media, the civil society, external stakeholders within the industry have a right to demand questions and also put pressure on that committee, x-ray the committee, talk to the members and who are in that committee, both during and after their work, to ensure that the committee's report does not die down. That it will not die down is not a natural consequence. It's going to be a consequence of all of us trying to investigate and question the whole process so that the process can be profitable for us. That's to my view.
You don't sound too confident that anything good will come out of Nazareth as far as this committee and the investigations, by the government are concerned.
That's not what I'm saying.
No, I'm just saying you don't sound confident. There are a lot of ifs.
No. Okay, then maybe I'm giving the wrong impression. But what I'm trying to say in very clear terms is that something can and should come out of it. But for something to come out of it is not a natural process. It is not like if you leave the thing to itself, something will come out. What I'm saying is that if we, as stakeholders in the industry, which includes yourself, which includes the media, which includes civil society, which includes anybody that has genuine intention, put enough pressure on the stakeholders, on the actors, then something will come out of it. So that is my point. So I'm just saying that if we leave the industry to itself, nothing will come out of it. Just like there have been theft for decades, and it was like everything was normal until the nation started bleeding. So we are not to leave the industry to itself. We are not to leave the stakeholders to themselves. We are supposed to question and put pressure on the process of the industry so that something profitable can come out of it. That is my own submission on the issue.
Some have pointed out that some of the pipelines we've seen that have been that have had holes drilled into them, some of the pipelines that we've seen that have been violated, that these violations cannot be done without the input of somebody within, these international oil companies. Some of these companies like Shell have had their platforms used to transport the stolen crude and to, load them, offload them onto ships, or to load them to ships rather, vessels. We've looked at other, pipelines and modes of sending this oil to the vessels. The platforms used by owned by some of these oil companies are being used. So some persons in the industry, experts like yourself, think that all this theft can't go on without the collusion of people in the oil companies and people in the security agencies. Now, when you look at the oil companies, some of them have a joint venture with the government, who is the Minister of Petroleum in the country, the President, who is the Chief of the Armed Forces of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the President. So some are asking, can the government investigate itself? Because it seems that there seems to be some complicity. I'm not saying the President is guilty of anything, but government is one, So will government be a stumbling block or a block to government investigating government?
Okay, so you raised two issues. One is about the IOCs and the fact that their platforms have been the basis for the transportation, and the other is about government. So let me first start with the IOCs. It is possible that the IOCs are culpable, but it is also possible that they are not. But what we can assume, pending a confirmation of proof, is that there are people within the IOCs who may be part of it. So in simple terms, you could have staff of the international oil companies doing illegal business and illegal trade. That is possible. And you could also have a situation where it is an institutional criminal work that is going on. It is the investigations that will reveal that. But I want to believe that the IOCs will not descend that low as an institution to do those kind of things, because the implications are way, way too extensive, and the risk is not that the risk analysis is not worth it for them. However, in the case of individuals who may be junior staff, all those kind of things are possible. Even mid-level managers, all those kind of things are possible. But it is not for us to preempt the investigation that is going on. Let the investigation do its work. Let them follow where the evidence is leading them to, because the evidence will always lead somewhere. It will lead to the origin of the issues, and then we can now analyze the facts based on the pros and cons of it. As per government, fortunately, we're in a democracy. So government in a democracy is judiciary, legislature, and executive. The one you're referring to in terms of the president and all that is the executive. So there is also the legislature, which has the powers and constitutional mandate to oversight the executive, which means that either the Senate or the House of Reps or the two of them combined, without any approval from anyone, can institute and investigate both, the executive, either as the presidency or as the NNPC or as the Navy, without needing any approval from anyone. So that's the beauty of a democratic setting against maybe military rule and all that. So we believe that it is within reason and it is okay for the executive to want to cleanse itself by investigating itself. But the responsibility to the nation lies with the National Assembly. So they are the ones to do a proper investigation on this and produce a report that will now be independent of what the executive as a protagonist in the issue should be doing. And we'll pray that they take up the bull by the horns, that they do it. However, we need to also be realistic. It is election period. At this time, people are thinking about their ability to win the elections first and foremost. So irrespective of whatever kind of investigation the legislature tries to do now, I believe that the incoming government will, there's a 90% chance that they will look back into some of these things that have happened towards the end of this administration and come up with a more comprehensive report. So some of it may include prosecution for those who are found culpable, and it may also be change of policies or even the enactment of laws that will make some of all these things that have happened more difficult to happen. So it's the nature of governance, and we pray that we will continue to have a good culture that will improve accountability for us as a people.
All right. Before we go, let's just quickly take your thoughts on handling of stolen crude. How should it be handled? We are aware that the military or the Navy, let's say the armed forces, burned the vessel, which was seized on allegations of carrying 650,000 liters of stolen crude in Delta State. That raised some eyebrows. They burned that vehicle, that vessel on the waters. And now we're hearing from IPMAN that the ones that their task force found or intercepted, there are some highly placed persons who are trying their very best to destroy the evidence. So how should such evidence, be, or such products that are seized, how should they be handled? What do you say? Should they be, thrown away, destroyed, shared, kept? What should be done to it?
There's just so much lawlessness in this nation, to be honest. There are extant laws on these things. Nobody has a right to burn anybody's property. And it's probably because those who are involved are culpable. That's why they're not even going to court. You cannot kill a person because you found the person stealing. The law does not give you that right. You cannot take possession of somebody's car because that car was used in the process of robbery. The law is clear on that. The Navy do not have the right to burn somebody's vessel. It is not, it is illegal. But it is not my own business and to talk about those kind of things. It is those who are involved to follow the path of the law. Once somebody or an item is found stolen, there are provisions within the law. Contrary to many people's perceptions, Nigeria is not a lawless country. There are laws for these things. So in terms of what should be done, people should just follow the law. It's as simple as that. Because the ideal part is that the vessel was found, somebody should be responsible for it. They should go to the court. If the court is being slow, then there should be discussions with the head of the judiciary on how these things can be fast-tracked. But people cannot just take laws into their hands. I mean, it's as simple as that.
All right.
People should just...
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Sowunmi. I'm sorry we have to leave it at that, but we appreciate your time, as always, joining us today all the way from Abuja.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure.
Thank you so much. And that's the size of our package. We have to run off because the news is up next at 9. But let's quickly remind you that you can follow us on our social media platforms. We have PlusTvAfrica on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And we have a second YouTube account, PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. We'll return tomorrow, 7 a.m. right here with more on The Breakfast. My name is Kofi Bartels. Good morning.